Good evening, everyone. Really delighted to welcome you to Songs for Genomics, an innovative collaboration between the University of Oxford and the Centre for Personalised Medicine and the remarkable HIVE Choir from Belfast. My name is Annika Lucassen. I'm Director of the Centre for Personalised Medicine that's hosting this event. I'm also Professor of Genomic Medicine at the University, and I'm the newly appointed University Champion for Public and Community Engagement with Research throughout Oxford. So at the University of Oxford, we believe that public engagement is vital in developing and shaping the future direction of research. The most meaningful research emerges when we bring together different voices and perspectives into the conversation at a very early stage. Whatever aspect of a health challenge we are addressing, understanding what matters to people, communities, should be at the heart of our work and integrated throughout our research. In my own research, I lead a programme looking at the ethical, legal and social aspects of genomic medicine. Our work seeks to understand the experiences and challenges faced by everyone involved in delivering and receiving genomic medicine. We've seen absolutely massive advances in technology that allow us to create and access genomic data much more easily than just a few years ago. Testing is often very easy. You can buy a kit over the counter from a chemist, spit into a pot and have your DNA analysed. That might tell you how your ancestors have migrated across the globe, or it might tell you what risk of disease you're at in the future. The government has also recently started 2 large-scale projects to predict future ill health from your genetic code or your genome. One is asking parents of newborn babies whether they would like the entire genetic code looked at of their newborn baby and studied for life. Of course, we would all like to be able to diagnose and treat serious conditions early. But the truth is that predicting serious disease from our code is far more complex than some of the headlines might suggest, or that we might hope indeed. There are millions of variants in our genetic code, and we all have lots of different variants that may or may not cause disease or influence a disease slightly, but they depend on other factors that we cannot yet measure. So your genomic code alone will often say very little about what's going to happen to you in the future. So we wanted to encourage more meaningful discussion about patients' real-life experiences, as well as the broader social and ethical implications of genomic medicine. Tonight's event has emerged from that programme of research. Our team has been working with people who have first-hand experiences of genomic medicine and collaborating with the accomplished HIVE Choir to transform their stories into song. It's a really powerful demonstration of how academic research and experts in creative media can work together to communicate complex experiences, ideas, in new and moving ways. I'm now going to hand over to Dr. Kate Lyle, the senior researcher in the group, who will tell you a bit more about the research and share details about what's been happening earlier in the day.
So we're all familiar with hearing about incredible breakthroughs in genomic research that's going to transform healthcare and enable new ways of understanding health and disease. But what does that really mean for patients and families? How does it feel for them to go through genomic testing? How does it shape their lives and reshape the way they understand themselves and their family relations? So that is really what the essence of what our research is looking at. So as Annika says, we have a programme of research where we've been working with people with experience of genomic medicine and their families to really try and understand what are their experiences like, what does it feel like for them, and what are the challenges that it presents. So, and what we're finding with our participants is rather than these clear findings that tell you something very concrete that you can do something with and it's very quick and it's going to radically change how your health is cared for, people's experiences are more likely to be characterised by long, protracted journeys where there's very long periods of waiting for results, and sometimes you might never get any results, or sometimes you might get some results and the meaning of those results are very unclear, with unclear implications for you and your family. And it's this side of genomic medicine that doesn't make the headlines quite so frequently. So that's why we've been so excited to be able to collaborate with HIVE Choir and to try and bring these stories to life for new audiences in new ways. We had the opportunity to collaborate last year as part of the Northern Ireland Science Festival, where the choir translated some of our research, some of the papers that we'd written, translated them into some incredible songs that they performed as part of the festival. And it was such a powerful and engaging performance that we just knew that we had to bring them to Oxford so that more people could hear them. And so that's what we're doing today. But this time we've made it a bit bigger. So earlier in the day, the choir have been working with some people with experience of genomic and genetic medicine, and they've been workshopping a new song that that will also be performed tonight. So I'm going to hand over to the choir in a minute. So you'll hear the songs that were created for the Science Festival last year, and John Darcy, the director of the choir, will talk you through the process a bit of the songwriting process, and you'll also hear the amazing song that has been created today, which is quite exciting. And then following this, we've got a panel discussion. So we've brought together some people with very diverse experiences, so they could help us have a discussion about some of the challenges and some of the issues that you will hear about in the songs. And this is where we really want everybody to participate. So I think we don't want this to just be a panel where you've just come to listen to people. We want to really have a conversation about some of the challenges that we're hearing about.
Guys, we're HIVE Choir, came all the way from Belfast to Oxford. Some of us here in Oxford for the first time. Guys, as Kate said, we have come up with a songbook, all based on the research that Kate, Susie, and the team have done. And we had a great time with our workshop earlier today, so you're going to hear some of the songs that we've just come up with today. But to get us started, we're going to do a song about
DNA.
molecule than DNA. It makes each of us who we are. The more scientists understand it, the more we all
development and functioning of an organism
understand ourselves, one another, and the world around us. We are all far more alike than we are different. Identical, the differing 0.1% contains variations that influence our So Kate didn't really say we're not actually a choir. Some might call us an experimental vocal ensemble. We're based at Queen's University in Belfast at the Sonic Arts Research Centre, the Centre for Interdisciplinary Research in Sound. Actually, we've got a PhD sound artist, a PhD candidate on our midst, Cameron. Cameron, what was your favourite amino acid in the last song?
Isoleucine.
Yeah. He's a hipster pick. We knew that. So guys, that song was using some text from the National Human Genome Research Institute from their website. And next, we have another song which will reveal where we got our text sources from. We do cite our sources here. The future of healthcare. Genomic. Do 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 do. Executive summary published by the Conservative government. We now find ourselves at a tipping point. The cost of genetic sequencing is falling. It's quick enough to inform clinical and critical care. Do, 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 do.
This strategy sets out an ambitious and compelling vision for the most advanced genomic healthcare ecosystem. The world. Do 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 do. Oh, do. We are committed to the future where genomics improves the well-being of millions worldwide. Worldwide.
We must take advantage. We must take advantage.
We must take advantage.
We must take advantage.
Oh, we must take advantage.
Latest scientific advances,
Faster diagnosis,
earlier detection,
target interventions,
full might of R&D,
at a lower cost.
big health data systems.
Data, data, data. We will progress. We will introduce. We will be the first.
Complementary
Ecosystem with global alliance, machine learning, artificial intelligence, industrial growth, entrepreneurship and funding, startups and standards and innovation, analytics, procurement partnerships, maximum impact. We will engage, we will engage, we will create, we will create, we will need, we will need, we will
do 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 do.
Also some challenges in particular around data sharing and equity of access. We will ensure that our approaches are Anchored on equity of access. Measures of success. Monitor progress. Specific target. Data security. And privacy. Responsibility. Transparency.
Responsible. Transparent. Responsible. Responsible.
Ambitions. Delivering on this vision. Exciting and compelling. Vision for the future.
Thank you so much. Anyone in Hive ever had their DNA tested or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you have actually.
Genuinely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Me too.
How have we
Did
not
they give you like
discussed
the code after?
No, it wasn't that thorough, to be honest.
Wasn't that thorough, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must have been in Canada, so.
Yeah.
Neve's from
there's that.
Canada.
There's that.
Katrin's from Germany. I thought you were about to say hello in German there, but
It's okay. Hello.
Emily's from the States. Sarah's from Newry, which is in Northern Ireland, in case you don't know. Ash is from Dublin. Adam's from Bangor, which is a bit more posh in Northern Ireland. Kate is from Germany. Cam's from Belfast. Katch is from Russia. Sarah, where Sarah were you from? I'll get to her. Sarah, where are you from again?
Ireland by way of Canada.
Oh, yeah. And also from Ireland, Emma.
From where in Ireland?
Up
Up the Dubs. That's
the
right,
north
from
side.
Dublin.
North
That's
side
right.
Dublin,
Thank
can you
you.
tell?
Up the Dubs.
And Neve from
Derry.
Derry.
And John.
And John's from Lisburn, but we don't say that. We say John's from Belfast. Neve, we found the data. We've actually got Neve's
That's me.
genetic code on the
Yeah, you don't
bottom
wanna
of the
know what
sheet
it
here, page 3. So read along if you can. Or you can watch Neve throughout this one. See how the data came to life.
Genomic data do not change across the life force. They are immortal data.
T.
A. A.
From
A. C.
G, A, G, G.
It's great when the audience follow along.
We've all got children and grandchildren. I've got 3 other grandchildren that could be affected.
I would want to
Both
tell
my
relatives
parents died of cancer.
clinically relevant,
So
unexpected
it would be useful
information.
and interesting to know whether I've got any susceptibility
Didn't really
to that
feel like
from
it
them.
was a choice for my parents not to get sequenced.
It didn't really feel like
Sounded
there
like
was
it
a
was a thing
choice
that had to
for
happen.
my parents not to get sequenced. It sounded like it was a thing that
Women feel
had
an
to happen.
obligation to manage genetic risks in their kin.
It's not for the people that we.
As willing to
I
share
would
their
want
own results as
to
they
tell
were
my
to
relatives.
receive a relative.
Clinically relevant,
It would be useful
unexpected
and interesting to
information.
know whether I've got any susceptibility to that from them.
Women feel an obligation to manage genetic risks in their kin, as willing to share their own results as they were to receive a relative. It didn't write to me feel like the right not to know. As far as I can see, all the benefits going on to me for the wider family. As far as I can tell, the potential for infringing relatives not unexpected. It's not people that we know and manage and people that we don't know about yet. It didn't really feel like there was a
We've
choice
all
for
got
my
grandchildren.
parents. Not that I thought it just sounded like
I've
if I
got
could
3
have,
grandchildren
not
that could be affected.
I would want to tell my
Both my
relatives.
parents died of cancer, so it would be useful and interesting to know whether I've got any susceptibility to that from them. I didn't really feel like there was a choice for my parents not to get sequenced. It sounded like it was a thing that had to happen. I would want to tell my relatives clinically relevant, unexpected information. Women feel an obligation to manage genetic risks in their kin, as willing to share their own results as they were a relative. A right to vote, a right to veto, the right not to know, As far as I can see, the benefit's going to be for the wider family. The potential of infringing a right to know, it's not for the people that we know about, it's the people that we don't know about yet. A right to veto, the right not to know. As far as I can see, the benefit's going to be for the wider family. The potential of infringing a right to know. It's not for the people we know, it's the people we don't know about yet.
Women's own obligation.
Oh my God, we don't know what this is.
When was the last time you used the flip chart? Can everyone see that okay? So, well, the choir can't see it, but trust me, it's over here. Oh, can't do pop star thing, can I? So, guys, today we had really loads of fun with all the participants in the workshop. Hands up, participants in the workshop, if you want to be identified. Oh, sure, look at you all there.
These were so good.
So really, guys, the aim of the workshop earlier, so don't tangle myself in the mic. The aim of the workshop earlier was to, I guess, give everyone a chance to see really the nuts and bolts of what we did as a choir to write these songs that you see now. Lots of workshopping, finding texts, tearing apart texts, cutting things up, writing new texts, and then giving it some sort of musical shape. And so what we did in the workshop, which Ashlyn did a lovely warm-up and got everyone moving. Did we like that in the workshop? Yeah, they loved that.
Phew. And a lot of some laughing. We did quite a bit of laughing.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. And then we sort of talked about what were the key issues that are coming up with this whole genomics and healthcare thing that we're talking about. And we honed in on 5 key topics, and we had 5 tables, which was a really good coincidence, wasn't it? That there was 5 key topics. So each table wrote a completely new song today based on their assigned topic. And what I'd love to do right now is to all perform together. That's like everyone in the audience. All, like, we can't see you very well because of the light, but we will hear you. And we yes. So we can see you now. They're much better looking with the lights on, aren't they?
It's a hot audience.
Adam's like, John, don't get cancelled. So let's look at song 1. We will be able to hear if you're not singing this, by the way. Song 1 was this theme of family and belonging and finding your tribe. And I forget who did this one. This was, you. And you know who was that?
It was Helen and Catherine and Cam.
Oh, yeah.
Cam, you were the real, the roots sinking into the soil here for this one. We've got a tree, which is, I guess, representative of the family. So how we musically perform what's going on here in this graphic representation of the topic is the trunk of the tree is where we're starting, and that's your family. So we're all going to sing together the word family. Can we try that together when I do this? Family? Family. Beautiful. And after we do the first family, we then become all of us individual branches of the tree. It's a hell of a big tree. And what you're going to sing or speak when you find your branch moment is a name of a family member. So that could be mum, dad, granny, granda, uncle, sister, brother, in-law. Or it could be, if you want an actual name of one of those people, it could be their name. Someone important to you, maybe someone who's had this sort of genomics in healthcare. So will we try that all together? Oh, all together, just maybe quickly, just all together say whatever one you're going to say. You got it in your head?
Georgia.
Beautiful.
Oh, singing, not saying.
Have you got a note for the audience, Emily?
No, just...
We're singing it, not saying it.
Which is it, is my question.
Yeah, which is it? Would you rather say it or sing it?
Their choice.
Sing it, all right.
Sing it.
Sing it.
Okay.
The trick to that part is because branches aren't all together like the trunk, they're all separate, so we're going to all sing it in our own time. So I conducted it there, but when we get to it, you're going to sing it in your own time. And then the last part, we're coming back to the trunk, but this time we're going to sing the word tribe together. Tribe. Fantastic. So we try that song all together now, 3 parts. Family, and then your individual family member part, and then ending on tribe. Let's try it. Tribe. See, it was that easy. They did that in 15 minutes. And you sounded so lovely singing that. We'll do another one, will we? Do you want to do another one? If they said no, this gets a lot easier, right? So this next one, the theme was... Journey. I was testing them. See if they remembered. Journey. So that came up as one of the key themes, that this is like a long process. It's a big journey for the individual and the family going through it. And the key musical idea here was a pendulum going back and forth between the highs and the lows, the good times, the bad times, the complexity, the simplicity, the, have we got any other binary things we could pendulum between? The yin and the yang.
Knowing and not knowing.
Knowing, not knowing.
Despair, right?
Yes. And we've got loads of lovely phrases here. I really love this one here. See us as a whole person. We belong. Because I guess one of the ideas was coming out that when we get this kind of testing, you feel like a part of a data set or part of a number and not like a real human being. So as part of that complex yin and yang back and forth, what we're going to do is go between simplicity with these nice long flowing musical melodic gestures and more broken up gestures. Da, 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 da. So that's complexity. Simplicity, complexity. And you can actually, while you're sitting there, feel the weight across the 2 bum cheeks. Slowly rock, or stand up if you want. You can feel that. Can we feel that? Let's go really slow. And then left. And then follow my movement. We are nowhere. Okay, but we'll go slower than that. And we needed a melody to sing this. What would be a good melody to sing on a song about journey? I know.
Don't stop believing.
Famous band called Journey. Let's just let's borrow the melody of one of their most lucrative songs.
It's a nice sentiment too, though.
Where we're not a glee club, like.
Does anyone remember that one from the TV show? Da 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 da. Can we? Let's hear that. So that's our nice, simple, joyous, on the highs, smooth, and then we're going to the lows and the complex. Da 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 da. Let's hear everybody. Da 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 da. So sway with me, everyone.
Yeah, brilliant.
So would it be fun if everybody going all different?
Context dependent.
Variable.
Context dependent.
Context variable.
Context Context dependent.
Messy.
Context dependent.
Messy. Reliable.
Context dependent.
Messy. Informative.
Context dependent.
Messy.
Context dependent.
Messy. Reliable.
Context dependent.
Reliable. Reliable. Reliable.
Context dependent.
Reliable. Reliable.
Context dependent. Context dependent.
Reliable.
Context dependent.
Wildly variable.
Predictive.
Dependent.
Problematic.
Predictive.
Wildly variable.
Context.
Problematic.
Informative.
Wildly variable.
Predictive.
Context.
Informative.
Predictive. Wildly variable.
Problematic.
Dependent.
Like
Context.
predictive.
Personal.
Informative.
Wildly variable. I'm so close to doing it.
Well, let's go back to our workshop songs, and we have 3 more. I love it. Let's hear it for the first 2 workshop songs that we had earlier. Didn't we love them? Now. Let me get this straight. This one has 5 parts, so they come in increasing complexity. The tree one had 3 parts. This one had 5 parts, but the parts are pretty easy to understand. And we have, I think, the group who made this song in the front row. So if we forget which part we're on, they're going to come up and nudge me to move on to the next part. Okay. So we start off thinking about the sun. Ever heard of it? So think about the sun, that basking in that light, and think of a sound that represents the sun. Let's hear that. I'm going to get a tan. Part 2. They're really scared when I do the patter in between songs.
Wildly variable.
Next part is laughter. And next part is long notes. So what does that mean?
So that's at the end of your laughter. We start with a bit of laughter, then we go ha 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 ha. So thinking about the notes that are in your laughter, that joy sound.
So take your laugh and like stretch it out. So let's try that. Let's hear like your long laugh. Let's hear that.
Nailed it.
They know to stop when I do that now too. That's really good. Part 4, speak or sing the words on the page. And these are all words that relate to the theme. Did I even announce what the theme of this song is? This song's theme is, if you hadn't worked it out already, hope. That's with the laughter, the sun. So even with all that complexity we were talking about earlier, the highs and the lows, some people are trying to stay hopeful through that. So let's look at some of the... It literally says, don't stop believing on that.
Yeah, listen. What Diane gets, she what she wants, she gets, okay? She
So
said,
don't stop
"Don't
believing.
stop believing."
But not this, do not sing, don't stop believing in this, or I'm definitely going to get sued. So I'll read out some of these in case you can't read these. So just while I'm reading this out, log one of these words or phrases. That's going to be your word or phrase for this. Power. Reveal connections, the future of medicine, longer life. The diseases are curable if caught early, better quality of life, transformational, truly life-changing possibilities. Hundreds of children could benefit from earlier diagnosis, the future of medicine, the power to reveal connections, better quality of life, laughter, best possible start, don't stop believing. And the last part, we're coming back to our grounding laughter. So, Emma, is there an instruction on when we choose our own word? Do we speak or sing that part?
That is personal choice.
Personal choice.
That's right. You have agency here.
And we start quiet and we get louder with the words. That's that crescendo.
Oh, there's a good...
Yeah, there's an alligator mouth. Open bracket thing.
Real choir.
So I'll maybe keep us right with the numbers here. We're ready for this?
Yeah.
Let's give it a go.
Starting from the top? From the tippity top?
We're going to go for the toppermost of the poppermost.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. diseases are curable. Diseases.
Believe it. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. Good job. Nailed it. They nailed it.
9.
Oh God.
You okay?
They didn't say one more tune yet.
This ain't over. This song, this is a fun one. There's 2 parts to this one, so we're getting a bit simpler, but we're actually not. The first part, it's very interesting. It's actually a musical game. So what we've got here is a lot of words. Again, I'll read out the words, so lock onto one word. Mystery, bravery, people don't know. Vulnerability, unknown. Terminology, making it up. Brr. First ever entry exercise. You can't biopsy. These are invisible things. 50-50 chance. Humor. Patient of interest. Rare. Mystery. Brave. You got one? The theme of this one was unknown. And to echo that, the unknown, the chance, the 50-50, we're going to ask you to pair up with the person beside you, and you're going to play a game of rock, paper, scissors. So for the first part of the piece, you're playing in pairs a game of rock, paper, scissors, and whoever loses has to sing their word. Okay? Me and Ash will demonstrate. Because I couldn't beat her earlier, so I've got to make up for it. 1, 2, 3, go. Ready? That was a draw.
Oh, in front of a crowd.
So you just sing it and then play again. And we'll do that for about a minute. Because that's, music. You know how composers work. They take an idea and they do it for a minute or two. That's music. So we'll do that idea for a minute or two. And then when I give the 2 signal, we'll do part 2 of the piece, which is a drone, which is based on the unknown, the curious, the mystery. We're going to do sounds that we would use with our voice when we're curious. So like a...
Interesting. Interesting.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, we got it?
Interesting.
Okay. Have you got your word for the first part? Yeah. Now, there's an odd number of hivers, so...
It's okay, you don't have a partner. Somebody partner with John.
No, I'm going to play with someone in the audience.
Nick?
I'm going to sit here and play with Tim. Tim will let me play.
Yeah, fair enough. You gotta go
Do you remember the rules, Tim? Okay, part 1. Here we go. Maybe we should come to Oxford more and do more interactive gigs with these guys in the Pegasus Theatre. Thank you so much to the Pegasus Theatre for taking care of us today. Thank you to Rowan on sound, and to Nick on camera, and to other Nick on camera. Thanks to all the team for helping make this work today. We've got one last song from the workshop. Now this one is our punk song, because the theme is frustration. I never get to do that one.
You really don't.
I can't get it any higher. Ash, we need to do a proper kick.
Excellent.
So you were writing about the theme of frustration, weren't you, earlier? So what we got was lots of frustrated lyrics, ill-equipped, only funding for common things, common diseases, egos, making it up, long-term battle, neurotic, fighting, communication, genetic counselling, non-existent, lack of care. So latch on to one of those words, or choose your own word or phrase that might relate to your own frustrations with healthcare. Yeah? And what we're going to do is the musical direction for this is that we're all going to just shout it really loud at the same time.
This is a rage room now.
So buckle up. No, don't damage your vocal cords here. If you want to do a quick warm-up. Well, not that far. You could give it a hang loose. So if you want to do a quick vocal warm-up, you could do that. Loosen up that throat and get ready. Because when I do 3, 2, 1, we're all going to scream our frustration. You ready?
I feel better now.
I wrote that one.
Well, that's the end of that. Frustrations to expectations. And again, Expectations is one of those songs where we cut up fragments of the research. So a lot of these quotes are taken from testimonies of the research participants, real life stories.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, asthma, atrial fibrillation, basal cell carcinoma, breast cancer.
And so what do you hope to get from this project personally?
I suppose you might say it's good cause to participate in. I sat down with someone who was really interested in me and explained things to me. Such brilliant stuff is going to come from it.
Cardiovascular disease, Huntington's disease, sickle cell disease, Tay-Sachs disease, colorectal cancer, cystic fibrosis, diabetes,
donated my blood, and I think they took a sample of the cancer, and that's fine.
That's fine. It helps someone further down the line. We had to do it a third time, and then we waited about 3 years, which felt so
Fragile X syndrome, Friedreich's ataxia, frontotemporal dementia, gallstones, glaucoma, gout, hemoglobinopathies, hereditary hemochromatosis.
False expectations. You can't just keep blindly testing her. It's not fair on her. It's not fair on her.
5 years and still waiting. We were at the bottom of the list.
When are we going to find out? I need to know. I need to know. I've learned that I have to chase everyone and throw my weight around to get things done.
I just think that the system is so absolutely unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
It's just like catastrophic.
It's just like
High cholesterol, hypertension, hypothyroidism, infertility, malignant melanoma.
I leave it to the researchers to use as they want. I leave it to them. Leave it to them.
Much rather know, you know, 'cause your imagination is always worse than the reality.
Always worse than the reality.
So I think that's the best we can hope for now.
I think that's the best we can hope.
He pretty much told me that you won't hear anything back from the project at all.
They don't seem to be thinking about real human lives, approaching all of this research as a
I honestly would rather not. Honestly, rather
not have known,
Osteoporosis, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, spinal muscular atrophy external, testicular cancer, thalassemia.
They're just going to keep testing, aren't they? They're just going to keep testing, aren't they? Would it be okay to keep testing? Would it
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight for the concert. This is the last song. So again, we had Katya, Cameron, Katarina, Adam, Ashlyn, Sarah, Emily, Katrin, Neve, Emma, Sarah, Neve, and I'm John. And this song is called Sure, Unsure, Prefer Not to Say, Other, or none of these. Bum 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 bum. So there was always this question. Bum 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 bum. God, do we want to know? Whoa, 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 a double-edged hope. Double-edged hope. Bum 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 bum. With a probable and possible diagnosis.
We contend that such genetic risk scores are only weakly predictive, and using them prematurely in clinic may create more problems than it solves.
Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Bum 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 bum.
I don't know. I think I was definitely quite naive when I started this journey. Quite naive when I started this journey. It left me a little more cynical. But I'm not sure I want to know that. I did read all the stuff at the time. And I can't really remember what it says, but I'm not too concerned. I think I would have freely consented to that. But why not? You know. I don't know really. I trust you, the professional. I trust you, the professional. I trust you, your professional. I trust you, the professionals. We argue that the problem of false positives here deserves attention. More people will be swept along a pathway of ultimately unnecessary invasive investigations, with a small number will be falsely reassured.
Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine.
I hadn't even thought about
white blood relatives.
Just kind of initially think about yourself.
Initially think of yourself.
It's only then speaking at bye. But I actually understand to stop.
Stop and think about it. Stop to think about it. We expect everything to be definitive. You know, there has to be an answer for something.
Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine.
I don't remember what the additional findings were, to be honest. I don't remember. Maybe I didn't understand it completely. I don't remember much, and I don't understand everything, but that's okay. But I agreed to it. I agreed to it. I agreed to it. But I agreed to it. I agreed to it. I agreed to it. But I agreed to it. I remember, but I agreed to it. I don't remember.
Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine. Adenine,
cytosine, guanine, thymine, adenine, cytosine, guanine, thymine.
So a lot of what I've done over the last couple of years is doing these sort of songwriting workshops with people based on a theme, bringing together texts, cutting texts up, and creating improvised music from that. So when Susie and Kit sent me through loads of material, we got the highlighters out and started selecting things, and we were totally new to the subject. Actually, to be honest, when we heard we were going to work with a genetics group, we thought they were like with the microscopes or something and with the spreadsheets. And then we came to realize the research was much more from that angle of the human experience, which was actually really fortunate because it made for much better songs than all the letters, although the letters were pretty good for that one song. So what you got and what you have in your hand is the songbook that ended up, we sort of coalesced around 4 songs for the first performance, which we did in Belfast last year. And then we added 3 new songs for tonight. And then the workshop participants got a little bit of an insight into the sort of like a quick, rough and ready version of that process. Very rough and ready. To prepare something that would be like, get everyone involved tonight. So that's kind of really where I'm coming at it from, interested in music, is like, we don't use notes in Hive. Like we did a project this summer where we used notes, but we really prefer not. And that comes from an accessibility standpoint and allowing people to sing music who might have been told before they're not musical. That's like a real passion of mine, is to try and get people like using their voice who maybe haven't felt confident in using their voice before. So thank you all for joining in that tonight, if that's you. So what you heard was one version of those songs in the songbook, because anyone who was in for sound check heard a not completely different version, but those melodies we were singing, especially on that last song, the last 2 songs, are improvised. So all of the chord changes that were happening in that sort of second last folky song, that's all just happening in the moment. It's not scored out. So yeah, and actually Sarah in the choir said, I do tell them like it's different every time. So I just wanted to remember to tell you guys that. This way of making music, I think, is particularly interesting for interfacing with stuff like research, because it puts you into a different place of the unexpected. And I think that allows you to access the text in interesting ways. It's kind of like that sort of form of theatre where they sort of show you behind the scenes and break the fourth wall, because that sort of engages your critical brain and makes you think about the text in different ways rather than just let the music wash over you. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. That's me for now.
But I wondered if those who took part in the workshop would like to reflect either on their experiences of taking part in the workshop, what they thought of it, whether it was what they imagined when we invited them to come, but also to think about how that relates to your own diverse experiences in different ways. So would any of you like to start?
So for me, the workshop was, well, I arrived feeling way out of my comfort zone, if I'm really honest, thinking, gosh, don't know about joining in with this. But it was very apparent from the beginning through the HIVE Choir that we were in a really safe hands, safe environment. And I don't know, I have to speak for myself, obviously, but somehow you just sort of got the courage and we just all joined in, and it was the most amazing way to connect with others, but also for me to connect with actually what I'm feeling about my art genomic journey, really, but and being able to express that through movement, and through the rhythm, and through the actual music. It was amazing. Thank you very much to all of you.
I think I'd echo that. I should say I'm here with sort of 2 hats on. I have a niece with a rare genetic condition, which was diagnosed about 10 years ago. So I've kind of experienced the journey through my sister and the impact it's had on her and our family. And I have a background in genetics. So when we found out about the diagnosis, we heard about Unique, who I work for now, and I volunteered for them first, and now I work for them. And we're a charity. It's actually our 40th anniversary this year. And we were set up originally just representing one genetic condition, trisomy 9p, duplication 9p. And I can say now in 40 years, we represent literally thousands of different genetic conditions, over 600 single gene conditions. And the reason we were set up was because of the lack of information out there. And 21 years ago now, we realized that, well, I didn't work for them then, but those who worked for the charity then realized that actually there was a lack of information. The information that was there was often very medical, gave the sort of worst case scenario, and really was quite complex for families to understand. So my job within the organisation is to try and communicate those ideas, and what it might mean, a particular diagnosis for a family in a family-friendly way, and crucially using family experiences. And that's really sort of the crux of what we do. So when I was invited along, I've got an interest in how to explain things that are quite complex, but in a sort of different, varied way that people understand. And I honestly had never even thought of it. I was actually quite taken aback. I kind of thought, what would this involve? But it's been a wonderful experience. It was fun. It was informative. But I think all of your songs, what's amazed me is how you have actually captured a lot of what we hear from families. And I think these rare genetic conditions are quite different from other cases where you see a medical professional, because often you go in, you tell them what's troubling you. They might give you a pill or sort of a therapy, send you off to someone else, and you're cured. Now, for a lot of families, they might receive a diagnosis. They might actually not receive a diagnosis. If they do receive a diagnosis, there might not be a clear pathway. There often isn't a clear pathway. They could have waited many years, and actually the average is many, many years to get a diagnosis. And I think that's kind of, you conveyed that in all your songs, that uncertainty that comes. And I think there is so much promise in this field. There really is. And I think we need to keep the hope there as well. But I think if we can manage people's expectations, that is a lot of, what we need to do, because otherwise it can be quite a disappointing experience. And actually, who knows, later on, your genetic test result, in a few years' time, it could be retested. You could actually be contacted again, and you could find out, I've got X, Y, Z. But I think it's really crucial as well to say that a diagnosis, while it might not mean that you know exactly what, a treatment, you can, and that's something that we try to do, you can be, it kind of gives you a sense of belonging, hopefully. It hopefully means you could contact someone like Unique or other support groups, and we can put you in contact with other families who are going through similar or the same things. They might not have the same diagnosis, but they will understand. So we hope that it will relieve some of the isolation. But it was a fantastic experience, so thank you very much for inviting me and my daughter Emily. She's loved it here as well today. So thank you.
Susie, can you just remind me of the original question?
I think it's fairly vague, actually. Think about reflect on your experiences of taking part in the workshop, and to think about how that relates to your own lived experiences. I know that you've done a lot of patient advocacy work as well, so whether it connects with any of that in a similar way to that parent.
Yeah, no, thank you. I came to this not having a clue what was going to happen. I'm coming away still slightly sort of like, what happened today? Because, I've as a patient advocate, and I've been involved in research. I've even done a bit of research, and I've been a participant in yours and Kate's research. And I guess we're participants today, and I have to say this is the most weird and wonderful experience today, and it's going to take a little while to think of what's actually happened. I was on the table, we composed the family song piece, and I'm not very creative, I'm not very musical, those sort of genes skip me. I've got two boys who sing beautifully, but that's not for me. But it was just really interesting to see how we used an image of a tree and populated that with words. And then Cam, the one in the dungarees, translated that into something which was creative. I'm not sure it's going to be a top 10 hit anytime soon, but that whole experience and talking it through, it was just a different way of communicating. Actually, a lot of that was my personal experience from having a genetic diagnosis which has this far-reaching effects on your direct family, the family that is not yet born, and in my case, identifying an ancestor and a complete different family that we never knew existed until a couple of years ago, which has a happy ending, actually, because my mum has a half-sister that she didn't know about until a couple of years ago, and the half-sister is 90, my mum is 83, and they're meeting up in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to Dorset. So, those kind of things happen from a genetic test, and, we spent a long time talking about that. But no, thank you for today. It's really opened my eyes to a different form of communication. And that's, I work with Hannah, who's in the audience, on the participant panel that advises and influences Genomics England, and a lot of discussions that we have around communication, because it is such a complex thing. And, there's not a one-size-fits-all, and people taking information in different ways, visual, music, rhythm, written word. And it's just really great to just hear that information conveyed in a different way. So thank you.
I wondered, given Helen's focus on communication, if I could hand over to Naomi now and talk about the kind of power of music or song and your own work in conveying complex messages.
Thanks so much. So I was absolutely thrilled to get an email from Susie asking whether I would join this, because I really love doing interdisciplinary work and kind of understanding how music and sound and engaging with them can be media that help us to contend with and discuss and share often challenging or difficult social situations and personal ones. So I was really, really intrigued when I came to observe the second half of the workshop today. So just how are we going to get from lived experience to something like music? And I was desperate to ask John this question. What's the kind of translation mechanism that's going to take place here? Because there's been, I would say, in the area of thinking about sound and science communication or health communication, there's sort of two main strands of work that have been going on. One has been on data sonification as a kind of complement or supplement to visualization that's been getting a lot of attention. And when that happens, that tends to be experienced composers or sound artists who work with numbers, with scientific data. But the act of translating is often their decision, or it might be a sound studio company. So it's kind of music specialists or sound specialists who do it. And then on the other side, there's been a big uptick, of course, in talking about storytelling and narrative testimony and the importance of expertise by experience in policy making and so on, and also in informing science communication. And we often talk then about the skills of listening to those with lived experience. But in my experience in the area of work, when I sort of work on listening in social and political contexts, and I often think those two things don't often come together. So it was with great glee that I saw what was happening here this afternoon, which is it wasn't the music and sound experts, it wasn't John who was writing the songs, much as that would have been then a top 10 hit, I'm sure. But what was so fantastic was that this was co-composition. This was the group of people, including people who were singers in the choir, but also including people with lived experience or family members going through journeys with their loved ones, who perhaps they were not trained in musical composition. They hadn't come and done a harmony and counterpoint class with us at the university, but they were learning how to compose their feelings and experience in some way. And this, I think, is perhaps really an illustrative pathway forwards, that it shouldn't be experts who are kind of translating data, saying, It's a common conversation in data sonification. Do we have a crescendo to show the imminence of climate catastrophe? This kind of thing. This often comes up. And the sound engineers are like, we can layer it up with some different samples that are really scary. But what was happening here was a process of collaborative, almost like invention of the kinds of musical and sonic materials that were best equipped to connect with the emotional, affective experiences, especially when we were all called upon to shout really loudly and to yell and that sort of thing. And I found that really, really inspiring, and think this ought to be a kind of model for how we think about translating either lived experience or indeed scientific data that people might encounter on their journeys into media like music and sound that can affect us very immediately and viscerally.
I think, like the songbook says HIVE Choir, but then there's also questions then about who in HIVE Choir owns it, because a lot of the stuff was generated collaboratively in workshopping. So I think we're kind of challenging those original notions. They're not really original. The notion of ownership of music was like a capitalist invention, right? And came about to sell music sheets and records. But yeah, I think that's part of part of how people think about what ownership is like the sort of the tangible, can I make money off of it? So I think what we're doing is healthily challenging that and blissfully unawarely thinking about it. But it is a question worth asking. But in terms of the kind of holistic ownership of the project, who leads that and stuff, it has been quite wide as well, because Kate, Susie and I were really in the center of the chats, but then they had a lot of trust in me to go off and take the texts and do stuff with that, which was really great that they were happy for me to do that, because I guess other people in their position might have been but send us back the lyric sheets to make sure we're happy with the thing. So maybe they can talk about how happy they were with handing over all the stuff. But from my perspective in the collaboration, it was really lovely to be trusted in that way, to do something as an artist and let the artist kind of do stuff and respond, and then come together and talk about it after, which was what we did in Belfast. We sort of different format tonight where we did all the songs and then all the chat. In Belfast, we sort of did song, chat, which gave us a chance to talk about the themes of the songs and how we might articulate ideas with an audience in between the songs. So there has been a lot of chat, I guess, in the background as well about this. So I've very carefully not answered your question about who actually owns, but maybe I'm signposting some of the interesting questions we could then follow up on about ownership. But for me, I think I'll ask Kate then, what was it like to sort of hand over the themes and concepts and then wait to see what came back?
Yeah, I think that's very much how we approach our research anyway. It's how we do our research with our research participants. So it feels like an extension of that, because it is really important to us that we co-produce things with people. So we're not speaking on behalf of, we're helping to tell people's stories, help to shape sort of what's the important parts of people's stories, and we're sort of the conduits for how these messages get out there and who they need to be in front of. And I think I think the working with John and the choir just mirrors that research approach. It has been a really interesting experience I know Susie and I have spoken about it. It's really different for us to work in this way, and we were very curious. When we went to Belfast, we didn't hear the songs until that night that you performed them, and we were very curious as to what it would be like. And I think, I just found it exceeded all of my expectations. I just thought it was really, and tonight as well has been the same, just a really powerful medium for hearing some of those voices that we've been connecting. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to add to that.
Yes, just the same really, that I think it sort of reflects the way we work in a very participatory, working with participants, co-producing things. And I think some of you may have seen in the foyer there's some illustrations we've worked with our research participants and an artist to show how complicated and challenging journeys through genomics are, rather than a very simplistic linear way. And that was a similar approach in some ways, although I think we probably I certainly felt I had a better understanding of what an illustration might look like, not what song. This is very much out of my area of expertise entirely. So I think it was a slightly bigger leap for us. But it was, a lot of the things you've had are papers that are shared, and we don't know how someone's going to read one of our papers and interpret that. So it's similar in some ways. But I hope we can carry on sort of working together and reflecting and thinking about that process.
I did make a joke in the workshop about when we took the articles and the papers, and some of the groups, I invited them to highlight certain parts that spoke to them, or like erase and censor certain parts maybe that they wanted to censor, and then I really realized, or Kate actually made a joke like, no, don't edit our paper, but it did make me realize like it's kind of another way of like editing the journal article or something, like you're then passing it to like another editor who's going to like then select parts that like speak to them, and maybe that's highlighted some parts that I don't know, have been like interesting or surprising maybe that we've picked up on. I don't know.
I think Helen put it really nicely earlier, where she said that different people sort of take in information in different ways. So I think I mentioned the illustrations just now. That's one way we're looking at communicating complexity to a wider audience that maybe doesn't know anything about genomics or knows very little. And this is another, I know, sort of very nice fortuitous opportunity we've had to work with John and HIVE through the Northern Ireland Science Festival to do that. So I think it's really important to say we don't want to just write papers that sit on shelves or only a limited number of people read. It's really important for us to work in different and creative ways. And it's been a fantastic experience.
Okay, sorry, too much after use there. I just suppose I wanted to add something. I guess I do believe in the power of music to help people to engage with things. And one of the kind of texts we often ask our undergraduates to read is a text that argues that we spend too much time, especially in universities, for example, describing and getting away from the actual visceral, affective experience of music. And I think what I notice in this kind of project or in other projects where we've used music and sound to enable people to get close to something that might be hard to understand or might be contentious or might be scary or anxiety inducing. I can think of a number of different projects where those kinds of contexts exist. And music seems to, and sound more broadly, seem to be ways to get close to something, so you're not avoiding it, but in a way that kind of does a sort of detour around some of those kind of, we start to, this might happen, kind of the rationalization. And instead, but it's not a way of avoiding the issue. It's a way of also coming quite close to our emotions about challenging situations. So I suppose as the kind of music person, I'd like to say, I think it can offer that. And that's something that young people can also experience, quite young children can also directly experience.
Yeah, I was going to probably sort of spin back to the original question, but I think it also speaks to your question too, what I'm hoping I'm going to say anyway. But I think you brought us gave us your legacy of expression through music. And I certainly, speaking for myself, feel that we felt very heard this afternoon, and that we have had a chance to kind of say what we need to say about our own experiences, and hopefully we're therefore leaving our legacy out there so that other people can learn from, the experience that we are having on our journeys. I don't know if other people who took part in the workshop would echo any of that or would have felt any of that. I don't know.
Just very quickly, and it's sort of anecdotal evidence, but I would say that when we ask families, say, how does your child learn, what makes them special, questions like that, the number of times music, dancing, musicality, creativity comes up. And we often hear, so when we talk about speech, that expression is so much, much more than maybe the receptive communication or language. So that's purely anecdotal. But I would say that, as you say, it does have the power. And I think I sort of almost don't want to say this now, because after today it doesn't seem right to say it, but I think of myself as a very uncreative person. And especially with having a very creative daughter, I feel like I'm one of those scientists. But it did teach me that we're all creative. And actually, for me to even think of singing is pretty sort of bizarre for me. But within about 20 minutes of working with you in the choir, and if we can find ways, as I think everyone has said, if we can find ways to communicate better, well, let's go for it. And yeah, so well done. And well done, families, because actually that's the people that we really need to thank.
Great, thank you. Well, I was just asked to thank everybody, really, because I think we're running over time a bit. Is that right? So I won't reflect too long. But thank you so much, John and HIVE Choir. What a fantastic experience. Wild and wonderful, I think you called it. I think that I would echo that. Really, really great. Thank you. Thank you to all the panellists. Thank you to Kate and Susie. Thank you to all the workshop participants today. Who have I forgotten? Kath, Thea, Nick, thank you for all the support to organise this. Other Nick, camera, I've forgotten someone, but thank you all for coming. And sorry that we've gone over time, but hope you've enjoyed it.